Hey, what is up, everybody? It is Steve here, and I know what you're thinking. I've been gone for a while, and yes, that is true. But I am telling you, I am back, and hopefully, I'll get to putting together some content and get it back out to you folks. But I somewhat alluded to it in my last video where I just felt like I was chasing the camera a lot more than I was actually trying to focus on getting work done in the shop. And since I don't make any money on YouTube at this point, I kind of had to push back and refocus my thoughts. So I know it's been a few months, but hopefully we'll get back into the swing of things and I'll start putting some videos together. This will be the first one, and my plan today is hopefully, it's been a while since I've done anything to the '68 Mustang, and I'm going to try to get the quarter panels fit back on this car. And once I get that done, that's going to cut me loose to do a lot of other work to this thing. So, but before I get too carried away, I'm going to basically take you up front, because I know a lot of folks have jumped over from Kevin's channel and have been following the C10 build. So we're going to go up front shortly, and I'm going to give you guys an update on his truck. And also, as you can also see behind me, the Camaro, it's kind of sitting here waiting in the wings to go to the paint and body shop. Also, there was another car that I had worked on, which was a 56 Nomad. I'll give you guys an update on it as well. So anyway, come along and I'll give you guys a tour. Okay, there Kevin's truck is, and as you can see, there has been a lot of work going on his truck. So kind of give you guys a rundown of what I've been doing. I got the front clip on it, of course. Finished out the bulkhead. I've got the engine it's for the most part, everything is assembled on the engine. I have to build out the intake. I messed up and I scratched the top of the intake. So we decided to just paint the top of the intake. I'll finish building it out and we'll get it installed and get everything plugged in. But as you can see, it is coming together rather nicely. Now, there are a ton of small things that, another reason why I just haven't filmed anything is just because it was just going to be really, really monotonous watching me do a lot of this. But got the brake lines all bent. Those are all stainless steel brake lines. They're all bent and laid in, all tucked in real nice. I've overhauled, I've rebuilt the engine harness. Of course, the fuel injection harness is standalone. The other harnesses, such as the rear taillight section, all of that stuff is done. Got the glass in it, which you guys know me, the glass and me have not gotten along real well. Ended up busting two glasses getting this one. I finally paid a professional to come install this. And what's funny is I've put these glasses in before, but never had this much trouble. So we'll look on the inside. I just have the carpet laid in here for now, just to kind of help tape the shape, but I've got everything. There's just a few wires that's got to be tucked up. The dash itself is a digital conversion, and it's all installed. As you can see, the column's all built back out. I've got the vintage air controls installed, and the headliner, the visors, dome light. I've got one small piece that the antenna adapter that goes from the windshield to the antenna. Once I get that in, then I can actually put the dash pad and the instrument bezel in. So anyway, everything is pretty close on the truck. Let's see if I can pan this out. Tailgate's built out. All the rear tail lights and all the electrical in the back is done. Bed's bolted down. I have the bumper. It's set on. I've got to do some adjusting on it and get it tightened down. But like I said, it's coming along. We'll peek underneath here. I've got all the vintage air underneath the dash installed, with the exception of a couple of the vents for the dash. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I mounted my ECU back up in there and the fuse box for the ECU. See if we can get in there to get a picture of that. And like I said, everything, just trying to keep it neat and clean. So anyway, like I said, a lot of the work is done on this. A lot of this is just real slow, tedious work. But hopefully in the next coming days, I'll be doing the first startup on this thing. And as you can see, I've still got quite a bit of an assortment of parts that still need to go on it. So anyway, we're going to jump back here, and before we do that, I'm going to walk you through the 56 Nomad, and then I'm going to jump back here in the back, and we'll go over the Mustang. So if you remember, Chris and we took on a 1956 Nomad that had an engine fire, and as you can see, the damage was pretty substantial. And I think in my last video, I actually captured some of the footage where we disassembled and I pulled the engine out. I brought the engine out here. I ended up re-gasketing everything, cleaned everything, painted it. And as I was doing that, Chris actually stripped the firewall. He repainted the firewall, and as you can see, they repainted the front section of the frame to where everything's going to go back neat and clean. And anyway, I was able to get the engine put in, transmission, got all the transmission lines hooked up, redid a lot of the fuel lines, the brake lines, and just basically got everything back together, as you can see. And oh, one other thing I did do, I converted it to power steering, and we put a chrome steering column in it, and the kit was great. It worked, everything worked out. So we hauled the car back up to Chris, and he is trying to get the front clip set on there, and I will probably later on this week go up and probably go ahead and get the radiator and get the cooling system all built out so we can actually start it and run it for a little bit longer. So anyway, that's kind of an update on what I've got going on in the shop. And as I told you guys earlier, I think today I'm going to jump over here on the Mustang, and we're going to see if we can at least get a quarter panel fit. So we'll be right back. So the last time you guys saw this car, I had just got the roof structure pretty well just set that on and got it clamped into place, and I'm pretty well happy with everything's located. Now you can see everything is still clamped into place, and I'll probably go through and put a bunch of self-tapping screws in and get this thing locked. But I want to fit the quarter panels. I've got a method to my madness here. I want to fit the quarter panels. As you can see, I left the taillight panel in here because I'm going to fit, I've got to trim the rest of this old taillight, or excuse me, the old quarter off of this taillight section. That thing is locked into place to kind of help locate everything. Also, another thing is this vent system. This piece is actually, it came with the new quarter panel, and I'm trying to decide whether or not to remove this one and fit to that. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm gonna set up and get to grinding and cutting and slinging some metal. We'll be back after a bit. managed to get the passenger side quarter panel fit up. Now, this was that piece that I was talking about up around the vents. This was still on the car, and I decided to just go ahead and cut this off the actual structure that was still on the roof, which that kind of proved to be, that proved to be the right decision. So there was a little bit of surface rust and stuff up underneath there that gave me an opportunity to clean that stuff up. But also on the rear of the quarter panel, it had this extension piece, and since I still had the tail light panel, and some of this trunk guttering from the coupe car, I thought that this stuff was all going to be the same. So I ended up cutting this off of the rear quarter, and as I found out, those pieces are still there's a little bit of difference in those. So I've got a little bit more trimming. What I might end up doing is I may end up just taking this tail light panel, since I have my B pillar locked into place and I've got the quarter actually fit. It's screwed in up there, and I feel pretty comfortable with where everything is going to line up to hit this point. So I think the next thing I'll do is I'm gonna the trunk drop off extension. I think I'm going to fit that, and that will set the quarter panel on this back end. Once I'm there, then there's a little bit of work that I need to do on that structure. There's some L brackets back here on the back. So anyway, I think I'm going to call it a night. It's starting to get later in the afternoon, and I did get a little bit of a late start today. But anyway, I'm glad you guys, hopefully you've tuned back into the channel, and I'll keep this thing rolling, hopefully. So anyway, I'm gonna call it a night, and hopefully I'll be back, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's a brand new day, and I'm back at the shop, and I want to thank you guys for coming back with me. So yesterday I was working on the Mustang, and I ran into a slight bit of a snag. I have to order a couple of pieces for the trunk guttering. So as those get here, I will, while I'm waiting on those, I think today I'm going to work on Kevin's truck. So anyway, one of the biggest things that I've been needing to do is I've got to get this intake built out and get the injectors in it, the throttle linkage, fuel rails, get it on the truck, get everything on the intake plugged in. And also I need to mount the transmission cooler, modify the battery box, get the battery put in, and there's a few more electrical connections I need to make. But once that's done, I think I'm very, very close to actually starting this thing for the first time. So anyway, I'm going to set the cameras up, and I have quite a bit of stuff that I am hoping to get done today. So I'll set the cameras up and we'll start rolling, and I'll cut in periodically to kind of give you guys a heads up, or give you guys a preview of what I've gotten done and what we're going to do next. So anyway, I'll see you guys here shortly. Okay, I was able to get the intake built out. I got it installed, got everything tightened. I got everything plugged up, as you can see. The valve covers, got the coil packs plugged in. I got everything looking really good on the top of the engine. So fuel lines were hooked up. I did pressurize the fuel system, and I've got a couple of leaks on the rails, and I was almost, I've suspected I was gonna chase a few of these because I used some adapters on those because of the brackets. So I'll chase that down and I'll fix that. Probably won't film that, but the next thing I'm gonna do is I've got the battery box pulled back out of the truck. We have an Optima battery and we've got a billet hold down, so I've got to do a little modification to the battery tray to get that to fit. So anyway, I wanted to jump in here and kind of give you guys a little bit of an update, and I'm gonna put the camera back on and I'm gonna keep rolling. So we'll see you guys shortly. So I ended up getting the battery box completely done. I've got the battery set in there and I've got it snug down in place. So the next thing I was planning on doing was I was going to build out the transmission cooler. What I ended up, I bought this thing a while back and I didn't pay any attention to it. I just put it on the shelf and I thought, well, I'll get to it whenever I get to it. Well, I'm not real sure, but it come with either 8 or 10 AN fittings. So this thing is way too big. So I'm going to have to order another transmission cooler. So in the interim, I've got some sandblasting to do. I've got to get the headlight buckets all blasted and repainted. So I'm going to go back to the back and probably stand in front of the sandblaster for I don't know, probably another hour getting those things done, and then I'll get those painted. So probably won't film any of that. And between that and chasing down these fuel leaks on the rails, probably finish out the day with that. So I'm not going to film any of that. So I will hopefully see you guys back here tomorrow. You guys have a great evening. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, I'm in the shop. I've been hard at it today. I got the headlights mounted both sides, as you can see. And earlier, you guys watched as I got the battery mounted. I went and picked up some battery cables. I got those covered, mounted. Everything is, the battery cables are in it. I also turned the key switch on and powered up the instrument cluster, as you can see. Think that's going to look really cool. I also cranked the engine over, which is at this point in the game, it's getting pretty exciting to get this close. I think I'm really close to starting this thing for the first time. So the last thing that we were looking at was the transmission cooler, and the cooler I had was the AN lines were a little bit too large. So I got some adapters, and I went with some 10 to 6 AN adapters. And also this morning I made some brackets, as you can see, to mount the fan to the actual cooler. So my next plan, the next thing I want to do is I got to find some real estate in the front of this truck so we can get this thing mounted. Once this is mounted, then I'm going to tuck up the transmission lines and start putting some fluid in the transmission. And I think a couple other things, as far as a few relays, I think we're going to be ready to start this thing. So anyway, I'm going to turn the camera on and I'm going to get this thing rolling, and hopefully we can get this thing mounted today. And who knows, this thing, hopefully in a day or two, I might be starting it for the first time. So anyway, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, as you can see, I decided to mount the transmission cooler down here. I didn't feel like I have enough room up there. It was going to get a little bit wide, and I'm afraid it was going to hit the grill. But anyway, I ended up mounting it down here. The brackets that you guys watched me build, I'm going to end up gusseting the sides of these, and I also have to build bracket across the back. However, with having this mounted now and having the transmission lines closed up, now I can add fluid. I can start topping off the transmission fluid. And the next thing is I've got a little bit of wiring to do, as I said earlier, and then I think the truck is going to be ready for its first start. So, however, I feel like I've got enough content here. I'm going to throw this video together and I'm going to get this one out to you folks. But this is also kind of the catch-22. You're going to have to come back and hopefully in a week or so I'll have this thing ready to go. So I'm going to wait and do the first startup on the next video that I do on Kevin's truck. So anyway, as I always tell you, I thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you've enjoyed this. I know, as I said earlier in the video, it's been a long time since I've put anything out, and I do apologize. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it with you. And as I always say, I hope to see you on the next one.